Connection established. Sending interactive video.
Hello, everybody. Sorry for running a little bit late. Sounding great today. I'm John Nelson, the plugin CEO of JKL Works and Plugin Business, and I am very happy to report Plugin Business is going through finally its final iterations and reviews. We are truly about ready to go and to launch that sucker out there. So, Zach, I saw your email, so the final revisions are there. So let's get that. We're going to get that worked out, and we're going to get that put out there. So. Thank you so much for joining us. Again, sorry running a little bit late. It's, I guess, the beauty or something of live streaming. Sometimes things happen and sometimes things get in the way. So here we are, nonetheless. And let me make sure that everything is without incident. Yes, it is. We're good. See, we're totally live, getting the phone figured out. What I want to talk about today is something for a lot of the digital marketers, and there are many of you who are a part of our Facebook group, our Boost Success to 50K and Beyond Facebook group, and if not, you ought to come and be a part of it. So I'm trying to balance all the windows that we have going because I am my own producer, as you know. So I want to take a little bit of time and talk to you folks and see if I can make a case for not only collaboration, but kind of a unique kind of collaboration. We're not going to talk about numbers so much. We'll talk a little bit about our process here, but the fact is there are two things that we can do at JKL Works. One is to double your profit in 90 days of our clients. That's what we aim to do. It's what we will guarantee. We have a secondary guarantee out there that we're not getting away from because it doesn't work, but just getting you a faster result. We use a success blueprint to find any business over $50,000 of profit in about 50 minutes. And so that's a tool that we get into. But then what comes afterwards is the Profit Works implementation. And that's the part I want to talk to you digital marketers about. If you want to actually go through our process with the success blueprint and then have a coach, then hey, fantastic. That's great. But that's not really what I'm aiming at. We can certainly work with your business. I've been in digital marketing since 2018, so I get it. And I've probably tried most of the strategies, and many of them work and a few of them don't. And it's all tied to other factors, is what I'm finding, beyond, which includes motivation. And your need and desire to really get out there, and where you fall in the sales process. So let's visit the sales process here for just a second, and what we call the conversion equation. So we've talked a lot about this lately. You're going to see some more about it for those of you who follow us regularly. There's a really cool interview coming up next week. You're going to have to sit through a tiny bit of bad audio, but that's because I am my own producer. And apologies to the gentleman who was the victim of it. His name is Chris Wayne. And we talk a lot about this and about some marketing things that not everybody is addressing. So that will be Tuesday where you're watching this. So I urge you to do that. It's a really cool session. We had a great time. He's a great guest. And you're at least will be aware of some things if you don't learn them outright. There will be some things to be aware of, and for you as a marketing professional to learn to compensate for, and that is the concept of media overload. So that comes here on the conversion equation right here in the beginning, because we try to, as marketers, interrupt the scrolling that all the rest of the normal folk do, or the businesses or the customers or the people who are looking for something or whatever. We try to get their attention. We stand there with a Mr. Bullhorn, out in front of a business. We're going, hey, everybody needs a Mr. Bullhorn, right? It was a great comedy bit. A comedian that did that back in the 90s. He's hilarious. I forget his name, but it was always Mr. Bullhorn, and it was awesome. It's kind of Sam Kinison style. There's another one. Boy, can I cross-reference today. So we interrupt what they're doing. We get there. We try like heck to stop them or get them to pause for just a second from what it is that they're doing. Then once we interrupt them, we engage them. Okay, you made that obnoxious noise, that banging on whatever that board is in Times Square to get somebody's attention. Then when they look over at you, you engage them. You tell them what you want to tell them, at least the initial bit, and you have, all of 5 seconds to do so. It's the elevator pitch on steroids, right? So you tell them what you got to tell them by engaging them in that thing. This is why I interrupted you. This is what you need to know. And then we go through the process of educating them, and then finally, hopefully, get to the offer. And all this happens within, mere seconds. You could even condense this down to the elevator pitch, right? So this is all where we marketers. This is where we live for sure. Now, where JKL Works and those who do what we do of business and marketing optimization coaching come in is sort of on the back side of this, on the back office of this. Can we do marketing? Sure. I love referrals. I love me some referrals, as you know. So it's, referrals, reactivation, new website, even some SEO and some ads. That's what Black Sky Digital is doing for us. We do ads. But, and those things do work. But I want to submit to you that maybe there's another side of this, that if you're willing to explore it with me, and we find a way to collaborate together, then it has the potential to absolutely blow up your revenue. Why? One big reason: you are then doing what most other digital marketing agencies are not. You are a well-rounded, full-service solution that balances both what you do well as marketers and what we do well as business coaches. And so we split that difference, make sure you get all the marketing functions. We can do them, but you can do them better. And then bring the back office side, the 360-degree approach to this. That's what we're here to offer. Our typical process normally for folks, and we can balance this out, but I just wanted to show this, is we get a success blueprint on somebody, on a business, on a potential customer, or a digital success blueprint if you're an online one. And then we work through to the ProfitWorks implementation. And this is the magic I'm talking about here. Now, there's a couple of different options, and we're going to get to them in just a minute. You have the main ProfitWorks implementation that is 1 hour a week. It's dedicated work. It's full on. And that's if you want us to take the lead. And then the ProfitWorks Jumpstart might be a way for us to let you take the lead, and we come offer the business things as they're needed. So there's a couple of different ways to do this. So I'm going to get into detail of that in just a minute. So what I wanted to do, I did a fun little exercise, because we have there's 27 strategies just right here in this. This is the different ones. And if you'll look carefully, don't look too carefully, because I'm gonna cheat in a minute. I'm gonna help you out. But if you look carefully for just a second, you'll see there's a balance here of marketing, and there is a balance of business strategies. So how does that measure out? How does that pan out? Well, looks like this, okay? So we mapped all of these out and put them on both sides. So we have the business side over here, and we have the marketing side over here. No one is less important than the other, with a couple of exceptions that sort of blend that middle. But that you really should have at least one or both of them going for all the rest of it to work. If you don't have those two, all the rest of this doesn't matter that much. But you see, there's kind of and yeah, for you marketers looking at this going, okay, there's a little less marketing there than I thought. Don't worry, I'm going to take care of you. You're going to catch up in just a minute when we start adding some of the online only for the digital success blueprint. There's some things in there that don't apply to a local business. They just don't. They don't have to. Social media marketing, SEO, and website optimization and the like. When that's not your primary thing, you don't have to worry about that as much. So we'll get to those in just a second. But as I say, just to balance it out, the 17 here, 10 here, okay, of the different strategies that are here, and these are hard to read, and that's okay, but they're a little easier to read other places. But I wanted to do this to show the balance. So whenever we come to to every scenario that we approach with every potential client, in particular, we like the health and wellness businesses right now, and some of the home services, but and also for this thing for digital marketers. But really, this could apply to any business you have. It doesn't really matter. It's any and all of these will work provided there are two things in place. One of them is right here. It's called the market dominating position, especially for your customers, especially for your local businesses. This is what you need to have first and foremost. We're going to be doing some very specific training around this coming up that we haven't really done before, but it's that important. And if you look at our website right now, we have a little webinar on demand that we do talk about some of this, but we're going to dive much deeper. So the market dominating position basically is that thing. So you hopefully your customers. So okay, let me back up. It's live. So you take your unique selling proposition, your thing that makes your business special, your thing that makes your product or service or your aspect that makes your business unique and helps it stand out above the others. And you marry that with research on your customers or clients or patients such that you know them so well that you know what their hot button issues are. You know what the things are that keep them awake at night, the problems that are not getting solved, the problems they have but don't want, and the solutions that they want but don't have. You know those things, right? If you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. So you take that and marry it with what makes you unique, and you come up with the fact that in the reality that you are the one uniquely qualified. Your business is the one that's uniquely qualified to solve their problem like nobody else. So, and therefore, what does that look like? That means to have a good market dominating position is to decrease the amount of touch points. We talk about this in marketing, right, all the time. So all of us come in order to be interested in a product or service, have to come in contact with it a certain number of times. And that they call those touch points for those who don't know. And the number of times that has happened, that happens before you have enough information in your head to make a buying decision or a consideration decision of any kind, is what we as marketers try to narrow down, right? So right now that number has just gone through the roof. I mean, it's 25 to 100 touch points now. That's just unreal. The amount of times that you have to come in contact with the business. They're so jaded. They're so cynical. These prospects are, that unless they just targeted and you know what? I'm among them. People call and prospect and reach out and prospect me all the time for stuff I don't need. But you never know until you prospect, right? If somebody needs it or not. But I'm about as cynical as they come, and so it takes a lot of touch points, just like anybody else right now. So 25 to 100. A good market dominating position, coupled with the other concept, a compelling offer, will bring that down to 5 to 12 touch points, which is very manageable in what it was for several years. So, and some people even say 5 to 8 times. Okay, so 5 to 12, 5 to 8 that you come in contact with that a prospect comes in contact with your product or service before they're ready to make a buying decision. And the lower that number depends on what you do to really make that happen, right? So that's the market dominating position. That is point one. It brings those number of touch points down to 5 to 12. It also increases the likelihood that somebody will buy by 50%, 50. Why is that? Because you have done your research, you have done your homework, you have done what is necessary to meet your particular target audience's hot button needs. Is that smaller than a blanket audience of, tons and tons of people? Yes, it's smaller, but they are much, much more likely to buy than the general masses. if you're reaching out to everybody who has, type 2 diabetes, if you're a wellness clinic or something like that, and you're really good at treating that and getting weight loss on and all that stuff, versus somebody who is, overweight by a set number of pounds and has tried all the diets and they failed. So that's a very specific group. That would be the market dominating position versus just everybody, okay, who's a little bit overweight, which I guess most of us are, particularly in the United States and in the West in general. So you have you have that as an issue, but that's what the market dominating position will do for you. Couple that with a compelling offer, okay? A compelling offer over here is a strategy that basically says, because you know your audience so well, because you're hitting those market dominating position, and you got some risk reversal going on. You've got some, whatever, I'll do whatever I say I'm going to do, or I will give you your money back, and or it's free, or I will refund you something, or I will keep working till I do, or I will whatever. And you could even double down on that. I will give you your money back and pay you $5,000 for wasting your time. One of those things. So ours is a sort of it is a double guarantee. For our guarantee, we'll double your profits in 90 days, or we will refund your money and we will keep working until we get those profits doubled. But then on top of that, what will become a non-guaranteed version is the whatever we find on the Success Blueprint, the amount of profit, which will be well over $50,000 in general, if you let us run all these strategies, marketing and business alike. And we'll imagine what achieving that amount of money in 6 months or so will do for you. It'll take 6 months to a year, but that's not very sexy for people, is it? They want immediate action, particularly in the first 30 days. I saw something the other day. Is that clients want meaningful action within the first 30 days. Okay, well, can't do that quite. It doesn't make a lot of sense, but we can do 90 days. Okay, and that's a shorter time frame than 6 months. It's a smaller result, but both are achievable in our particular case. Maybe you have something that's similar. But the compelling offer puts all that together in one space, and it says, okay, so this thing is so good that you will feel like an absolute fool turning it down. You'll feel silly, you'll feel stupid, you'll feel whatever you want to feel, however that hits you, because it was so good and you let it go. You let it pass you by, and you feel dumb. And you may or may not get it again, but that's the power of a compelling offer that works on your site, the sales psychology that works on you. So those two things, market dominating position, compelling offer, work together for almost an unbeatable combination. The rest of this is either marketing or business stuff. It all works. It's all fantastic. Cutting costs is in there. It's great, but it's boring. And we could even cheat and say there's two levels of cutting costs, overhead versus your cost of goods sold, right? So, but that's not very sexy either. But all the rest of these strategies work, but none so well if you're going to lead with something as the market dominating position and the compelling offer, right? Okay, so I promised the marketers a little bit of more balance here. So what happens? So let me back up for just a second. So this is the regular Success Blueprint, and these are the base things that we look at. I like to do a little more than that and actually bring in all of this. So all of this is what we look at. So, but then there is also the digital Success Blueprint, and this is for online people. And this has 15 strategies to it. So where this other one had 12. Okay. But again, we like to blow that up a little bit more and start going after each one of these, because as we found out, sometimes there are strategies that should be in that small group, but they're really not, like referrals over here, or some customer reactivation, or even direct mail for one of my customers. Direct mail was on their thing. So that should all be there. So what happens if we take this list and we add in some of those online things? And this balances out a little better, does it not? Not perfect, 19 to 18, but it's really close, right? So, I mean, there are a few more things on the business side. There's a couple more things, but there's a lot more over here on the digital marketing, on the marketing side and digital marketing side. So just in case you guys didn't think there was a balance there and that we're against digital marketers or something. No, that's the whole point of this live. So as I said, very much not. However, what I have come to realize and what I led my company into realizing is that we didn't stand out just doing digital marketing in any way whatsoever. We were missing this whole side of the equation over here. We're missing this whole, and from 20 years plus years of small business ownership, you need this side. You need this side more than you need this side. Why? Because it's like, it's like when you're going shopping for a significant other, boyfriend or girlfriend or whatever. Do you have your life in order? Do you have your house in order? Are you ready to take on somebody else's life as well, and all that entails? If is your business life in order over here? Not if you're shopping for a potential spouse, but out there looking for a potential spouse. But is your business life in order? Because if it's not, and you use this to start bringing in customers, it doesn't matter how many customers you bring in. They could end up going out the door just as quickly, or it's never enough because your pricing is so out of whack that money ends up coming in one side of the door and going out the other side of the door at the same time. Because you don't know how much you're spending on things. You don't know you don't know where that's landing. And your staff may do the same thing because you don't have policies and procedures where you've given them boundaries and you've cross-trained them on what to do. So if something happens and somebody's out, it doesn't completely wreck you. There's so many business strategies here that are, I would argue, equally as important. Yet when it's time to go get customers and you do have all this together, and there have been success blueprints that I have done that on businesses that had it together. And I was very quick to say, I have an option for you if you'd like a sounding board, but you really don't need it. You're doing good. Nothing wrong with that. Not everyone is a hammer looking for a nail. Okay. It's really not. And I know that's a mentality we get into. Have you ever heard that? When you're a hammer, everything looks like a nail? Doesn't matter. You're going to try to mold it into that outcome that you need. Well, so if that's the case, then you're all right. So, but if your business house is in order, then by all means get over here and start doing some marketing and getting out there and getting everything and start bringing in customers and start doing all the things that it takes and all the good worthy things that it takes to bring in customers. Now, we try not to focus on the glamour stuff, marketers, just so you know, when we talk about marketing, because we focus more on marketing fundamentals, reputation management, online presence, referrals, reactivation, maybe some social media or content marketing, some social media prospecting, some lower end stuff. Does that mean websites and ads and SEO don't work? Of course they do. They do. But you also know they cost a lot and they take a lot of time. Okay? They cost a lot and they take a lot of time. So, and not everybody, frankly, needs them. We asked a question earlier in the Facebook group, or if not, I'm going to, I did ask that question. If not, I was going to ask it later. It was an idea we got from LinkedIn, and it's about sort of, group creating an article. But the question was, it was a fake scenario of, I'm a home services company and I really want a website. I've been told that's what I need. I need a multi-page, big experience website and all that good stuff. Convince me that I don't. And when I don't, what are you going to replace? What's that alternative you're going to replace it with, and why? We're looking for contributions for that, and we're going to start making some guides for that. So it might be just kind of fun to see I want to see what you guys come up with. and the winners get full credit, and they get put on the guides for that. So I know there's a bunch of people out there that'd be willing to do that. So give it a shot just for fun. I discovered that whole stole the idea from LinkedIn, but they sort of have this thing where you community create an article, and it's actually a cool idea. It really is, because then you get to see a bunch of people's expertises and how they would approach the problem. And there could be multiple ways to do it, and whichever ones get the most votes is the good votes. I mean, and don't just like somebody's as a popularity contest. Really pick the good answer, because these are guides. These are resources for people who will come looking for solutions. And there's some really good ideas out there that not everybody thinks of. So be willing to do that. If you're in our Facebook group. If not, it's free to join. Just come on over. You don't even have to. I mean, you have to register the fact that you joined it. But other than that, no. Now, we do limit the posting. So we do, to avoid all the spammy ad people that seem to land in there sometimes. But I know plenty of you who are on here are not that way. And you're just looking for something good to put out there. So here's your chance to contribute to that. And we're happy to do it, and happy to let you go through and to be a part of that, so we all learn and grow together. And we do get to show off our expertise sometimes. Okay, so this is the balance. This is all the different strategies that we can potentially work through a client on our own. Now, digital marketers, where does that come in for you? Well, obviously, you probably can look at this list if you can read it. I know it's small, but it's pretty much every marketing strategy you can think of. Okay, plus a couple you may not have. Let's just go with that. And so chances are one or two or a few of these, your group is really good. You or your group, your agency is really good at. Okay, I would best believe it. You're fantastic at it. You're better than all the rest of us, and you have your own ways of standing out. You have your own unique ways of making this happen. Okay. So, but, and yes, some of these things do cross over a little bit. The market dominating position, the compelling offers, they sort of cross over between the two strategies. So, but I'm willing to bet that you have customers that you're doing this, and you have prospects that you may be trying to figure out a way to stand out with, that you want to make a difference, that you don't just want to be another. Yeah, you may do awesome websites, but so do about 6 other people, So that competition is getting tough. Okay. And yeah, so maybe you can add some marketing, maybe you can add some fundamentals, maybe you can add some other things. And, but at the same time, wouldn't it be cool if the customers you have and the customers you go get, you offer them a complete solution for their business? We are looking at the inside and the outside. And we're not doing it in such a way that we're getting all up in their business. This is not, your marketing may be done for you, and that's totally cool. That's as it should be. But I can assure you the rest of this is not. It is done with you. Now, gentleman I was just going through a webinar with, he was leading the webinar, made the point, or tried to make the point that, or actually not only him, it's a couple of other people. I don't want to frame that all on him. It's done for you is best, done with you is next best. And if you can then do it yourself is the least desirable of that group. I'm going to argue, at least for this stuff, that done with you is the absolute best. Because let's face it, if these were done for you, then you would be very nervous because I'm all up in your financial business. Okay. And I don't want to do that. But I can't leave it to you to your own devices, because that's how you got here. So let's do it together, side by side. You don't feel like a fool because there's something you don't know or don't understand. That's where I'm here to help. That's where my company comes alongside to say, no, you're not a dummy. This is just complex, and let's figure it out together, and let's give you some easy strategies to make this happen. And then we flip that and kind of take that approach with marketing too, because how many times, folks, have you gone to implement solutions for people and you don't get any cooperation from them? You can't do customer reactivation if you don't have a list, can you? Okay, easy example. You can't do referrals if they're not willing to do paid referrals. You may get some luck, otherwise you won't. You can't do a website if they don't give you content and you can't find it and put it together. Same way with ads, I would argue, by the way. And just having to work through and do ads, I can understand. I've had several of these processes completely turned against me. and I'm humbled by it, but I know that this is just proof that they work. I mean, these guys are using the compelling offer strategy right back at me, going, how do we create for our ads a compelling offer that people will feel silly saying no to? They'll feel foolish saying no to. I'm thinking, yes, I have heard this before. Okay, this is now being used against me. Thank you, Chris. Appreciate that. But he knows it, and we talk about it on the live. So I'm talking about Chris Wayne because they are doing my ads for me. So we will talk about that next week. Yes, we recorded it yesterday, but we wanted to be respectful of his time constraints. So since he's willing to do this for us, so yeah, I mean, it's cool that they're turning this completely against me. But that's how I know it works. That's how I know what we're doing here makes a big difference. So if your businesses, if your customers, if your clients, if your whatever business it is, you feel is missing something, or you're nearing the end of your rope of what you can provide them, or you're nearing, you're not getting those people because there's 4 other folks who do SEO, that are competing against, and then it ends up being a price thing, and then nobody wins. And SEO is expensive as it is, or same way with ads, or same way, and you're pulling your hair out, desperate to find some sort of way to stand out against these people. Don't ask me how I know. Okay, really, that's exactly where I was 9 months ago. I had hit the wall. I didn't know what to do. I was capable of doing pretty much all this over here. My team was pretty much capable of doing all this over here, or I could find it done. But at the end of the day, I don't stand out anywhere. Until I was exposed to this, and it came along, and these entire systems and our exclusive profit acceleration software that powers that success blueprint that we can go through with somebody. And until that came along, it just when it came along, it just completely solved it seriously brought together for me 25 years of my life, of what it was leading up to that point. Have you ever gotten to those points in life where everything, it's the whole, for those of you maybe that are believers or have heard this story before, it's the whole footprints in the sand thing, where there is, for those of you unfamiliar, and I think it's even a piece of art, but it's certainly a story and a maxim and Christian belief that if there's I don't know if it was a poem or what it was, but this the gentleman realizes, he's looking back, he pictures himself walking on a beach, and he looks back, and there are times, and he's walking with God, and there are times that he looks back on the beach and sees 2 sets of footprints, and there are times he sees 1 set of footprints. And he's looking back going, okay, so what happened? Were you not with me the whole time, God? Did you check out? Did you do whatever? And God says, no, I was carrying you. So that's kind of what this gets back to, is there are times when it would be, you have this opportunity then to kind of take that to another level, and to have somebody carry you in the areas that you don't. So you look back on your life. That's where I was going with this. You look back on your life, and you see all these history points that lead up to where you are now, that get you to where you are now, and the highs and the lows, and the trainings that you went through, and the stuff that didn't seem significant at the time, and the times where you were really learning something, or the times you were at the end of your rope. And it all comes back to a certain point. That's what it came back to for me with the introduction of this business side, not relating that to Christian theology necessarily at all, but it does. It just brought around, everything came full circle 25 years later. from 25 years. 20 years is in business ownership, an extra 5 years working for a maintenance and reliability consulting company. It does matter. It does make a difference. And so that's what we want to do for you. We want you to be able to have a full circle approach to help your clients, helping where you help them the best ways that you know how, doing your digital marketing. And we help them the best ways we know how, and therefore help you to offer a better service with business strategy, business optimization strategy. And we work together. One of the things on this list right up here at the top is alliances or joint ventures and collaborations. Okay, there's alliances in there too, but really just for these joint ventures and collaborations. And it's not necessarily a joint venture in the legal sense that you think a joint venture is. We're not forming a limited partnership here, guys. We're really not. It's just a collaboration of two companies with contractual boundaries in place that says we're going to do our part, you're going to do your part, here's how this is going to work. And if we violate the terms, we're violating a contract. We're not breaking the law, but we're violating a contract and everything that goes with that. But let's not approach it that way. Let's actually go out with the intent that we're going to go either work with your clients, or the reverse could be true as we begin to get clients who need marketing services. Again, we can do those, but wouldn't it be cool to reach out to somebody who can build an awesome website, because these people will not be dissuaded. They actually want a cool website, or we get everything in line and together and it's time to run ads. Well, guess what? Can we run ads? Sure. Can you run ads better? Yes, you can. So it ends up being a symbiotic relationship, okay, where both sides benefit and both sides work it out. So that's what I'm here to lobby for. So if your business is at that point, let me give you a couple of different options. Let me first kind of go through quickly. So once we get through the success blueprint and we get our roadmap established of these are the marketing and business tools or strategies that we're going to use. And we're going to start with 3 or 4, but we're going to expand as far out as we want to go to keep that relationship going. That's another thing that's a beauty about this, is we can just keep going because we're showing them so much value. We're showing them so much profit that they just can't imagine life without us. And we have become then a trusted sounding board at that point, because we've seen all aspects of their business, where at least that's the hope anyway, is that we become an objective place to run ideas by. This is what I would like to do. What do you think? What are the pros and cons? Okay. We can talk about that. No problem. Let's explore the pros and cons of it and really build that relationship into something special and long-term, billable long-term, right? So it's both. It really is both. They're not mutually exclusive. Yes. And should you get paid for something, for services well rendered? Yes, you should. And then there can be sometimes a time and a place where they're getting to roll everything just like they wanted, and they feel comfortable with everything, and they can be trusted with everything. So to not get in a rut again, then we end that relationship, but on a good note, and we keep the doors open. If anything is needed again, or other marketing services or other whatever, we can come back in and start that up again. There's ways to make that happen, and I'll talk about one of them in a minute. But once we do the success blueprint, we go to the ProfitWorks implementation, which takes on a couple of different forms, as you saw a minute ago. But let's talk about on the basics how we approach coaching. Okay, many of you have seen this before, so just bear with me. Of course, there's a roadmap that we follow. This is just a sample. It's unique to every business. It's different for every business. We have nearly 40 strategies. We had 37 we just showed on the other page. There's 40 in total. We can do some deep dives on stuff, or we can start combining things together, or we can add some others that we haven't thought of yet and start bringing them in. What does that look like? If we start disconnecting and start doing or breaking out some different strategies, and we really put those together. Like I said, there's 2 in cost cutting alone that can be broken out. There's some other stuff we didn't talk about. So it's the roadmap. Okay. So that is what we provide, is the roadmap, is the guide, if we're taking the lead on this. And maybe even perhaps if we're not. If you're still taking the lead on this, we should still do a success blueprint and make sure that we implement the strategy that you're doing for a particular client of yours. And let's see, at least in terms of projection, what that could look like. Because we'll ask, what is the percentage? We look at things in terms of profit. What is the potential profit increase if this works the way it's supposed to work? And then there's some cool mathematical magic that happens. It's not smoke and mirrors. It's along the same lines as compounding interest. There's no reason mathematically that should work the way it does, but it does. If you're familiar with compounding interest, you know that it does. So this is compounding impacts. We start putting a bunch of these strategies together. Some really cool things happen that they sort of feed off of each other, and they start getting better. So we provide that roadmap for you. The other thing is, we can this says weekly, but let's just say regular. There's regular meetings, and there's a couple of different versions of this, why I talk about regular meetings. But the idea is regular contact with your client. Now, when I was doing marketing, I was thinking that was twice a month. I'm thinking now twice a month is not enough. If you're doing if you're doing this right and you're fostering that relationship, twice a month is not enough. Now, by the same token, say once every day or even a couple times a week, unless there's something really hot and heavy going on, maybe too much. And that's okay. So you find that balance in the middle where everybody's comfortable that you're still able to provide value versus the time that you're giving up for this. So the fact that this is weekly, but it is, let's just say these are regular sessions that you or us or we both work with a client to make sure everything is going. We try to operate around the strategy of the idea of one strategy, 1 month. Okay. So that way it gives us 3 or 4 weeks to work everything out. And we don't want to overwhelm clients, particularly in a done with you setting. If you're doing it for them, you can go at whatever pace you want. But if you're doing it with them, you have to slow down. You have to bring them along. And it helps. But the beauty of that is it helps their comfort level tremendously, because then they get to see exactly what you're doing and what the different impacts of some of their silly ideas. And let's face it, some of them have silly ideas. I've had plenty of silly ideas, and I bet you have too. So I'm not disparaging anybody. I'm just speaking truth. Okay. So you have so many that have. So that's why the one strategy 1 month in general works pretty well as a pace. Now, sometimes it'll be a little faster. Sometimes it'll be a little slower. Depends on what it is. And it doesn't mean you couldn't have concurrent things going on at the same time. We all know SEO and websites take a while to set up. So, that can go on in the background when there's things, other things that need to be done. Okay. So accountability, regular check-in is important. So every time we do have a meeting, we're going to want to know profit and loss. We're going to want to know, revenue, and we're going to want to know profit. And there is a difference for those who don't know. We're also going to want to know leads, and we're going to want to know the actual conversions. How many of those leads actually turned into customers? How many of those prospects actually turned into customers? These are regular metrics that we need to know, guys. You know that. I know you know that. So this is really aimed at some of the others, and we're not aiming to be teachers here either, which is really what this is about. We're aiming to be. We'll get to the other in a minute, but it's still important. We're aiming to be strategists. So we want to provide, in our case, it's called the Success Academy. In your case, it may be something else, but a resource where people can go get their questions answered, so they don't feel like idiots every time they're coming to even though you don't make them feel that way at all. It's an ego defense sometimes in people. If they don't know something, they take it badly. So here's a chance and an opportunity, and we continue to have those. In this session and webinar, as I was going through, they were talking about playbooks, and this is exactly the same idea, that you have ready-made resources for people to go to get their basic questions answered and maybe some more. So then they can come fully prepared and fully armed, just like you are. You're coming with all the information. They're not. Okay. So just keep that in mind whenever we get that together. Okay. All right. So you should also plan on spending a couple of hours or a customer should plan on spending extra time in their business. And this actually leads to a point that we all should come in contact with, right? In that you have to be at a certain place to be a digital marketing or a business optimization customer. You have to be at a certain place in your business. That's why, sorry, folks, for those of you who are just starting businesses, I've been a part of starting 6 of them. So I'm not throwing dispersions of nothing that I haven't ever thought. I promise you. Okay. But when you're starting a business, you're on top of the world and you know everything and nobody else does. And your idea is the only idea that's going to work. Don't ask me how I know. Okay. So that's why working with startups is next to impossible. You guys go out, have some life experience with your business, living your business. You may have plenty of life experience before that, but you will forget your head if you're starting your first business. I promise you will. It's very few that don't. And the forward-thinking ones that don't are the ones who from day one say, I cannot do this by myself. I need help. And I need outside help to get this going. So those are the forward-thinking individuals. So they're kind of the exception. But otherwise, most people who entrepreneurial start a business know everything and you don't. And yeah. So what ends up happening is there's nothing we can provide that doesn't get challenged. It doesn't get, upended. It doesn't get run around. It doesn't get all those things. So go little bit of life experience. And then when you are ready, plan on working on these times, setting aside time to work on your business, not in your business. That phrase is almost getting cliche, E-Myth, but it's not yet, thankfully, because it's true. This is not time making sales or prospecting. This is not time paying bills or doing other stuff. This is time where you're specifically working on ways to make your business better. Okay. It just is. This is time to do that. And so you take that time and you make that happen. So plan on spending that time regularly, if not weekly. That you set aside that time in your busy schedule purposely. We talked about calendar control, and that's a phrase I've heard a lot lately, and I need to because I don't have it. But we do talk about working on that and getting that where it's in a good place of control, so you know what's coming, you know what you can plan for, you know what your time looks like, and that's the way it ought to be. All right, so here's what I was really talking about: accountability. In the accountabilities, we want to know the leads and conversions. We want to know the profit and the revenue, not necessarily in that order, but analytics are extremely important, and feedback, regular feedback, more immediate feedback, doesn't have to be, breaking news all the time, but within a day or two as to how everything's going. Or it's like when you're losing weight, they tell you not to weigh yourself every day. It will make you crazy. But do it once a week if you're trying to lose weight. Just a tip there if you didn't know that. Otherwise, you'll with every 2 pounds gained or lost, it just you celebrate or you panic, whatever. So, but regular analytics are a wonderful thing, and they're very, very important to the process. And then we try to encourage our customers with random gifts, random encouragement, random whatever, and we reserve the right to do that. So this has to be a relationship that you're ready for. This has to be a relationship that your clients are ready for, or can be made ready for. If they're not at this place that this type of stuff exists for them, or they won't tolerate it, or I just want somebody to go build my website. That's all I want. Okay. You go do your marketing mumbo jumbo, whatever it is you do, and you come back to me later. No, that's not going to work either. This is working on your business. This is doing so together. there are some things you don't want them handling. You don't want them in your Google Ads account. I know, trying to they'll end up, just wreaking havoc with any ads account, let alone the Google ones. Or anything else. But so you do want some of that control in certain places, but you also want their complete buy-in. And the only way to get their buy-in is to go at their speed and to get them used to the idea of this kind of commitment. Okay. This is all a part of the Maya Angelou thing. Do what until you know better. And then when you know better, do better. This is what we aim to do. And these are investments. I've luckily heard that so many, many more times now, because if you're doing something for your business, Mr. or Miss Client, then this is an investment in your business. It's not just a cheesy word. It's actually truth, because you are building and growing your business. Because sometimes that investment is time. Sometimes that investment is taking that 2 hours a week, 2 to 3 hours a week to actually focus on some of these high level things about your business, to work on your compelling offer. Because if you don't have a compelling offer, then it doesn't matter what you throw out there. It's not really going to stick because you don't stand out in any way because you haven't done your homework to do so. These are investments in your business and should be treated as such. Okay. Excuse me. All right. So to wrap this up sort of ignore the details, and there's an overall arching point here. So we talked earlier about ProfitWorks, the different strategies of the ProfitWorks versus the ProfitWorks Jumpstart. So what's the difference? All right. So ProfitWorks here this is us digital marketers look at it this way. Okay. ProfitWorks side, the regular implementation is 1 hour a week meeting with a client. And look at that as us taking the lead. Okay, so us taking the lead, and we're driven by the success blueprint. We're meeting with them once a week. Sometimes it's us, sometimes it would be you, if it's depending on what the strategies are that we're working on. And we would ensure that you get any and all marketing strategies to implement for the client. Okay, no matter who brought that client. That's the idea. And so, but we're taking the lead on this, okay, and managing the client through the entire process, doing it with them, giving some things for you to go off and do, but also ensuring that you are available to come discuss these situations with your client so they understand exactly what you're doing, exactly what you need, and we work together to find a role for them in it. Maybe more than you want, but I promise you will thank me because it just makes the relationship stronger. It really does. So regardless of what's here, and we include the Success Academy, which is for us that's the learning platform. They can go find out anything they need to find out about the business and bring their questions, right? Or there's the other side of this is, if you would rather take the lead, consider our ProfitWorks Jumpstart model. Now, what this does, it's unlimited 15-minute sessions, and there is curriculum that is business-based. You watch a short video; they're about 8 minutes each. That your client does, I should say, and then we give them some things to do to accomplish these strategies. This is really where we could focus on the business side and just come on board when needed. With you, but let you take the lead in your marketing strategy for, say, your clients, would be ideally where this would work. So we're just an ancillary service that comes on for the business side of things while you're leading with the marketing strategy. So regardless of the way these are framed out on the page, that's the thing is, let's just show this real quick for a basic comparison of differences. But you can, either of these strategies would work depending on who is comfortable or who wants to take the lead in the particular situation. Maybe it's your client, but you feel you don't offer that many services, and this is a strong lead package from what you've seen, or can be, as far as a strong, not for leads in terms of prospects, but leads in terms of the head of it. It's much more of a business focus. We can do that. And I just want to handle the marketing stuff, and that's fine. You take the lead, even though it's my customer. That's cool. Doesn't matter whose customer it is. Or I'll do the marketing things for your customer. So you don't have to worry about it. So you can reliably hand it off to me. That's the way an alliance would work. And that's the way the ProfitWorks side would work. The ProfitWorks Jumpstart is just for we come alongside as an add-on service for you. And we focus then on the business side, but we let you take the lead of usually of your client, because we would like to do the lead on the other if it's our client. But if it's yours, this might be a more comfortable arrangement for you. So then we work alongside. So that's what we offer. These are the things this is what I wanted to get you at least, build a case for interest in for you guys. And if that's the case, then really give it some thought. Really see if this is something as a marketing agency that would help you to stand out. Never mind the businesses we're targeting and who we're working with. If that aligns, fantastic. But really, we could apply any of those strategies you saw to any business that you can think of. So long as they're not a startup who doesn't want our help and doesn't need anybody's help and isn't requesting it and that sort of thing, and it ends up being a fight. That's just not going to work. You don't need the drama. We don't need the drama. Let's not do drama. Okay? Nobody needs that drama. But that's the case I wanted to make to digital marketers and those who already have clients. If that is something that you think might be a fit, go to our website, jklworks.com, and scroll all the way down. There's something about booking a business breakthrough strategy session. That's kind of the name of this whole thing anyway. So go book one of those with me, and let's talk about what that can look like for you. Let's talk about how we can come alongside for you. Okay? And if you want a success blueprint, we can certainly take you through that process. You take your agency through that process, and let's see where you land. See where you, particularly on the business side, it might be very eye-opening, but make sure you have the authority to do some of those things. If you're an analyst or something and you're trying to speak for the whole agency, that may or may not work. So you're going to need some buy-in at the top to do that. But if that's the case, and you do get that buy-in and you want to see what that looks like, we'd be happy to do it, and just with a little different motivation. So then you experience what your potential clients would experience. It's free anyway, and it's 50 minutes of your time. And we start with those strategies, and it might be just kind of fun to see how much profit we can generate for you if we start following all the steps, even the steps that you're familiar with. And so you have some metrics and you have some numbers as to what that could potentially look like if you're at a certain scale. So that's my lobby for this. I would love to connect with you, and you can comment here wherever you're watching this. You can come visit jklworks.com and book a business breakthrough strategy session. That would be awesome. Or you can just reach out on any of the socials, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, that sort of thing, and see if there's a way that we can connect up, and we can maybe do some business together, and we can help each other to succeed and to thrive. That would be incredible, because there's just in just a short amount of time, there's so much potential for this as a game changer, as a small business fan. This is where I've been. The reality is we could do a Fortune 500 company with this. Now, there's different motivations there, and that works a lot differently. So it's pretty challenging, but that doesn't mean it's not possible. All these strategies are the same. They just scale differently, and the timing works differently. The bigger a company you get, because they have more staff to work through the problem. And, it has its own set of challenges, but it's very doable. So let's see what this looks like. If this is of any interest to you, let's see if we can get together and see if there's a fit for us to work together in that particular situation. Otherwise, I do thank you so much for your attention. I hope you learned something, a little bit of something, and we will see you around wherever you're watching this. There's plenty of material that I hope you find valuable. Take care and have a great day.